Hello, students, and a very warm welcome to you all. Today, we're going to do a complete lesson on a very interesting short story from your syllabus, The Midnight Visitor by Robert Arthur. Now, it's a wonderful story that really makes you think, what does it really mean to be a spy? I'm sure that by the end of our session today, you will understand it completely. So, let's begin with a small question to get us thinking. When you hear the words secret agent or spy, what is the first picture that comes into your mind? Is it someone tall, very smart, very handsome, always in the middle of some action scene? A bit like James Bond, perhaps? Just keep that picture in your mind for a moment. Now, let's look at our main character, Ozable. He completely shatters that James Bond stereotype. The story tells us he is very fat, not tall and fit. And his weapon? It's not a pistol, it's his sharp, quick mind. And forget about a glamorous life. He lives in a small, gloomy room on the 6th floor of a French hotel. You see, this contrast, this difference between how he looks and who he really is, that is the heart of our story. To make sure we understand everything clearly for our exams, we will explore the story in 5 simple parts. First, an unlikely spy. Then, a visitor in the night. After that, we'll look at the invented balcony, then brains over brawn, and finally, we'll wrap up with some exam tips and a summary. Okay, let's dive right into our first section. We're going to meet our characters, Ozable and Fowler. Understanding them is the first and most important step to understanding the whole story. So, the story is written by Robert Arthur. And it's not your usual spy story with lots of fighting. No, this story is a very clever mix. It has suspense, it has spying, but it also has a lot of humor. We have 3 main characters. Ozable, our secret agent, who is, a bit different. Then there's Fowler, a young writer who is looking for excitement. And finally, Max, who is the rival agent. The entire story happens in just one place, Ozable's hotel room. This is actually what Ozable says to the writer, Fowler, right at the beginning of the story. You see, Fowler is a young writer, and he was hoping for a thrilling adventure, for some excitement. But what did he get? He spent a very dull evening with a fat, talkative man in a musty, boring hotel. So naturally, Fowler is feeling completely let down. But just as Fowler is feeling completely bored and he thinks the whole evening is a waste, the story takes a sudden, thrilling turn. Let's move on and see how this very dull situation suddenly becomes very dangerous. And here it is, the moment of shock. As Ozable and Fowler enter the room, Ozable switches on the light, and they see they are not alone. There is another man, Max, already in the room, and he's holding a small automatic pistol in his hand. For the first time that day, Fowler gets his authentic thrill. So Max makes his demand very clear. He's not there to chat. He says he's there for a secret report, a very important paper about some new missiles that Ozable is going to receive that night. The situation has now become very serious. An enemy agent has a gun pointed at them, and a very important national document is at stake. Now, I want you to pay very close attention to this part. This is where we truly see Ozable's genius. He's faced with a gun, but he does not panic. He doesn't even try to fight. Instead, what does he do? He simply sits down and starts to use his greatest weapon, his mind. He begins to tell a story, a very clever and very detailed story. He doesn't shout at Max about the gun. No, instead, he starts complaining to him about a balcony, a non-existent balcony, of course. He acts annoyed as if this is the 2nd time this month that somebody has broken into his room. Now notice the details Ozable uses. This is what makes the story so believable. He explains that the balcony belongs to the next apartment. He says his room used to be part of a larger unit, you see. He even complains that he has told the hotel management to block it off, but they haven't done anything. These small details, they make the lie sound completely true, not just to Max, but to Fowler as well. And then, just at that moment, an unexpected thing happens. There is a loud, sudden knocking at the door. Now, a normal person might get scared, but Ozable, he immediately uses this chance to his advantage. He sees an opportunity, and he takes it. Ozable invents a second lie, right there, on the spot. With great confidence, he tells Max that it must be the police. He says that he had asked them to check on him for extra protection because of the important paper. Now, Max becomes very nervous. He is in a very difficult position. If he stays, the police will catch him. So, we have now reached the crucial point of the story, the climax. Max is trapped. He thinks the police are standing right outside the locked door. And what is the only escape route he can see? The balcony. The balcony outside the window that he now believes is real. So, panicking at the thought of the police, Max decides he will hide on the balcony. The knocking gets louder and he quickly climbs out of the window, warning Ozable to send the police away quickly. He is sure that he is now safe, just standing on a balcony a few feet below. But the visitor is not the police at all. The door opens and in comes Henry, the waiter. He is just bringing a drink that Ozable had ordered before he even came up to the room. The first lie Ozable told about the balcony and the second lie about the police, they have worked together perfectly. And here we have the brilliant twist ending of the story. Fowler, who is still very scared, asks about Max, the man on the balcony. And Ozable calmly tells him the truth. He says, no, he won't return. Why? Because there is no balcony. Max has just jumped from the 6th floor of a hotel. This story is a perfect example of what we call presence of mind. What does that mean? It means the ability to stay calm, to think clearly, and to act wisely, even when you are in a very dangerous or surprising situation. Ozable never lost his cool. He was facing a gun, but he created a brilliant plan out of thin air and saved himself. All right, now that we have a good understanding of the story, let's focus on how you can use this knowledge to write excellent answers in your exams. We will quickly summarize the key points that you need to remember. So, if you get a question on the character sketch of Ozable, remember to include these key points. You must mention his intelligence and give the examples of the balcony and the police. You must mention his calm and composed nature. Also talk about his unconventional appearance, and most importantly, how he proves that brains are always more powerful than brawn, that is, physical strength. Now, if you are asked to justify the title, you can explain that it perfectly captures the surprise of Max's entry. He is the main midnight visitor. His unexpected arrival is the central conflict of the story. You can also add that there is a second visitor, the waiter, whose arrival is also crucial for the success of Ozable's plan. So, the final lesson, the moral we take away from the midnight visitor, is very clear. Real power does not come from physical strength or from weapons. True power lies in a quick, clever, and calm mind. Ozable had no weapon, yet he easily defeated a man who had a gun. I will leave you with this final thought to reflect upon. This story teaches us that a calm and intelligent mind can solve problems that brute force simply cannot. It's a wonderful reminder of the great strength that we all have inside our own minds. Thank you for joining me for this lesson today.